A blueprint for a safer Philadelphia. That's the idea behind a crime summit today at St. Joseph's University. Our Ellen Kaloje with more on how the government is working with regular people to tackle the crime crisis.
So this violence summit here at St. Joe's University was planned months before the recent looting in Center City and other neighborhoods in Philadelphia this week. But those crimes were certainly a point of discussion.
We are losing businesses. Target, we're losing CVS's and Rite Aids because they don't feel safe.
Councilman Curtis Jones and many others who put this violence summit together describe themselves as people
who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
People who say they are fed up with the crime on Philly's streets and want change and believe that starts with more adults stepping up.
Well, how many of us are actually mentoring our youth? Maybe the biggest way to address it is to become a mentor. Each one teach one. That's how I look at it.
This is not a one-step, one-fix thing.
Among the speakers, District Attorney Larry Krasner and Acting Police Commissioner John Stanford, both of whom talked about the need for more witnesses to speak up to help solve more crimes. They both also addressed the recent looting across the city and what should happen to those who committed those crimes.
Everybody doesn't need to be in jail, but there are some folks that need to be, especially when you talk about many of the violent crimes that we see or many of the crimes that have an impact on communities long term.
And the people who have been involved in committing crimes during this unrest will be addressed individually. We'll look carefully to see whether this is a one-off situation and they're fundamentally law-abiding people, hold them accountable one way, or whether they are criminals.
People have to be held accountable. If folks feel that they can go in and steal from stores and commit those type of acts without consequences, then that behavior continues.
So even though no concrete solutions came out of today's summit, most people agree that just talking about these problems is a step in the right direction, especially when it comes to young people. At St. Joe's University, Ellen Kaloje, Fox 29 News.
Urban Nerds Foundation. Same as my cousin said, a lot of us been behind that wall. We've been through a lot of different things. And I'm hearing a lot of stuff today, but one thing that I'm not hearing that we go through in our community is PTSD and intellectual disabilities. A lot of our youth they're not being diagnosed.
Why are our children acting out like this? Started asking questions to myself, started getting to know the families. And what I found out is that our children did not have ADHD. They did not have ODD. What they had was trauma. Because trauma manifests behaviorally in not wanting to sit down, jumping, not paying attention, different things like that. So you have that intersection. Then you have the intersection of poverty. Then you have the intersection of violence. And what you have is PTSD. Now, it ain't PTSD because we ain't post nothing. What it is continual trauma. Because we live with this every day. And let's be clear, because you have representative or senator or anything or MD before or after your name, trust me, if you are black and brown and you live in this country, you are traumatized.
That's right.
You just deal with it differently because you have money. Whether that's cheating on your husband or wife, whether that's drinking, whether that's going on vacations, but at the end of the day, if you are black and brown in this country, you are traumatized. And so whatever programs we have to come from that lens, that when a black and brown person shows up in your program, you have to be trauma informed. And you have to understand what that means. And we need to create programs, not just for those kids who are functioning well, but for the kids who really need the programs because it is about opportunity, right? And at the end of the day, that median income that you put up there, trust me, it is half for black and brown families. It is not $60,000. It's more like $20,000. And so we are always at the bottom. And unless we come together, collaboratively working together and get out of the poverty mindset that there is not enough, trust me, there are plenty. I am not your competition. You are not my competition. We must work collaboratively. And the only people who are going to get us out of this is us. Not the president, not the governor, it is us. So again, Councilman Jones, I appreciate you doing this, and we have to walk away saying that I don't care if my name is on the monarchy, that we have to stand behind each other and work. That is the only way we change what is happening in our communities.
Urban Nerds Foundation. Same as my cousin said, a lot of us been behind that wall. We've been through a lot of different things. And I'm hearing a lot of stuff today, but one thing that I'm not hearing that we go through in our community is PTSD and intellectual disabilities. A lot of our youth they're not being diagnosed. They go on in front of these juvenile prisons, in front of these juvenile judges, and they're being sentenced to long sentences, but they've never had a psychological evaluation. My son ain't growing up in the streets. He's 15 years old. 4 of his classmates, 4 of his friends was killed last year. Back in the 90s and the 80s when we were growing up, we experienced death. I've been to about 40 funerals. We suffer from PTSD. A lot of our kids have intellectual disabilities. And some of us understand what that is. Our children is not getting the proper assessments. A kid go and shoot up a block party or go and just do some unimaginable acts, but he's born with certain disabilities. What I'm saying is that kid may be in trouble, may be done, but what about all the kids coming behind them? We don't even pay attention to that kind of stuff. We complain about the things that we go through, but in that youth study center and here in the East Coast corridor and these juvenile prisons, how many of us are pushing for our kids to get the proper assessments that they should get, coming from the homes that they get, coming from the homes that they come from? I'm not hearing none of that in there. And I'm an advocate of that because I have a 15-year-old son that's born with an intellectual disability. If he walked in here right now, you wouldn't even know it. He can talk, he can interact with everybody, but he reads on a 5th grade reading level. He's about to be 16 years old. So I want to hear more of that because coming from these areas of Southwest North Philly, our kids are experiencing a lot of different things, but we got to get our kids these proper assessments, man. And I know, I forgot her name, but she works in the prisons. So I'm sure she sees it. But I want us to be more diligent because if we want to focus on our children and crime, a lot of our kids have cognitive skills are off. And we don't speak to that. We just want to throw them away.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate what you just shared. Now,
and it's a failure of mine, and it's a failure of government in general, which is that what we don't have up here are some of the incredibly important people in the community who are doing work on the ground every day that makes such a difference. They are being erased in this process, and I'm going to have to go off script for a minute. TJ, get up here. Yeah, get your dad up here. Come on, let's go. Where is Kazar? Come on, Kazar. Come on up. All right, well, I'm not going to give you guys microphone, but I want to give you credit. Come on up here. No, not at this time. Hold on, sir. So, listen, I want to make sure that you understand that some of the people up here do incredibly important work every day. They do it for free. They do it in a way that government cannot do it. Kazar is irreplaceable. This young man and his pop are wearing the name of a 501c3 they operate. Urban Nerds, not urban shooters. Feel free to interview them after we are done today. Feel free to hear what they have to say. And what they have to say is that it's all about young people being smart and making smart choices, and those smart choices steer them away from gun violence. And I'm very grateful for the work that I see every day being done in the community by people who deserve our support and who really get it done.
Probably 20-year-old really in certain rooms and stuff like this. So, but my question for you, excuse me, I forget your name, Mitch Little. What method or plan do your organization have to be able to support and reach the Gen Z generation? Whether we talking about community leaders, people that want to get involved, the people that's affected by gun violence, whether they've been shot, whether they shooting people, whether their friend had been shot. What strategic method do y'all have to be able to support the generation that's actually doing the crime at a very, very high rate right now?
It's a great question. Let's give this gentleman a round of applause. Like I said earlier, a lot of the work of my department really revolve around place-based work, which is in West Philadelphia, again, trying to create cradle-to-career pipeline. And so we engage young people in regards to community development, economics, entrepreneurship, health and wellness, housing. There's young people engaged in every sort of subcommittee of that work as we engage over 100 partners in that work. And we partner with schools and community organizations, after-school programs, et cetera, to do that work. The bulk of youth work is outside of my department, Office of Children and Families, DHS. Erica engages young people in her work, specifically around youth. But I think your point around us old folk really understanding, you ain't say that, and I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for that. You know what I mean? Really understanding the value and the asset that young people are. This war is hyper-local. This is a neighborhood by neighborhood war. It's a way that we can look at communities and see the characteristics of investment or disinvestment and how to really target our work, our strategies, our interventions, and engagement. And for me, this influencer space, this podcast space, listening from young people in their own voices, using their own mediums.
Wilson Good Senior, that if you look at the underperforming schools and where they're located, what zip codes they are, and then examine the population on State Road, there is a correlation.
Of course.
And that we need to close the school-to-prison pipeline, and in this session, talk about school-to-paycheck pipelines, so that people have something to live for. There are two types of kids that get up in Philadelphia. One of them live in a zip code where they might have been living in a car. They get up, they walk into the corner store, buy a fresh white tee to put on, and they put their tool in their back of their jeans. Another set of kids grows up, and life is a piece of cake with whipped cream on top. They have parents that are showing them the way to success. And their life and their trajectory is different. We have to change that. I'd love to get some of the resources in here. And a good friend of mine, former Congressman Fattah, talks about a thing called the promise. That we should look in the kids' eyes, look in adults' eyes and say, we promise you, if you go to school, you don't violate curfew, you get a C or better average, and we promise you that we will get you year-round work. That we will promise you outcomes that are positive, whether it's the military, the trade school, college campus, or a good job. We have thousands of jobs that the city can't fill. We should create the school to paycheck pipeline. So I'm not going to stay, but those are my dreams. And I look forward to hearing the discussions today. Solutions, solutions, solutions.
Peace, peace, family. George making that shit again, man. I'm here in the hood in Southwest Philadelphia, man. We out here trying to save life, save souls. We trying to change the mindset of the youth. We say urban nerds, not urban shooters. We say death to the real nigga. We not talking about killing any niggas. We talking about killing that nigga mind, consciousness in the minds. We say, we lift up our hoodies and we say nerds over niggas, right? We want to bring black intelligence back to the community, man. We want to raise up our young boys and teach them that they can be something other than being a so-called nigga, man. We want to change the mindset of the youth, man. In every city across America, man, urban nerds is coming, man. A lot of our kids, they jump off the porch early, man. They jump off the porch. These young black boys, they jumping off the porch into an unforgiving world, man. An unforgiving world. And a lot of them is not mentally ready for this culture, this deaf culture that we celebrate in the community that we come from. So we created Urban Nerds to save souls, to save lives, man. And we teach young black boys to go out and start saving the lives of young kids at their age. We want to be a light in a dark room. We want to be a clean glass next to a dirty glass, man. So look for Urban Nerds coming to a city near you. Peace. Here at Urban Nerds Foundation, we strive to change the mindset of the inner city youth. Changing the way that they think and the way that they see themselves. And we start with changing the way that they speak. We believe that if we can change the way that they speak, we can change the way that they see themselves. If we change the way that they see themselves, we can change their outcomes. So we say urban nerds, not urban shooters. We say nerds over niggas. We want to get that negative mindset and traumatized mindset out of the youth, so that way they can strive to become the best versions of themselves. This is what Urban Nerds is about. We have a STEM organization where we're now creating a coding camp to get the inner city youth up to speed with the ever-changing technologies. Going into some of these universities, I never seen young inner city African-American kids being represented there. They're not getting brought up to speed to the changing of technologies. We have GED programs, mental health assessments. We're going into the prisons to make sure that a lot of these inner city children are getting their proper mental health assessment of intellectual disabilities and so many other things that our children deal with that's not being diagnosed. So here at Urban Nerds, we're striving to change the mindset of the youth one child at a time, man. You guys can support by going to www.com, Urban Nerds Worldwide. You can support through Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. So remember, we love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.